And that, by the way, doesn't have to be a war either. That can be anything in your life that you've had trouble with, that you've had a moment of just, of complete and full marking hurt, that type of hurt that you just carry with you. And you know that you were changed at that moment, whatever that was. After that, pay attention, because you're going to be calling in the same feeling somehow. You're going to be calling in situations that are going to give you that tumultuous moment all over again. And for me to live like that for 18 years has taught me that all I really needed to do was just first know that was happening, and I didn't. But then when I found out, is stay present to that. Know that that's what I'm doing. And then I started changing little things like that. My relationships were a reflection of that. Then my friends, who a lot of these guys were a reflection of that. Because everything could be triggered at any moment. That pain could be triggered. So you look for ways for that to happen. Whether you know it or not, it's right there. It's happening all the time. And what Hijos de la Guerra explores is that connection between war and gang violence. What else do you know? And what else are you going to do? And here's the other thing that happened when the gangs were formed in Los Angeles. In '92, when the war ended, the United States did something that I feel was a little bit inconsiderate, because they should have opened it up a little bit to actually some kind of infrastructure for the country after that 12-year-old war, longer, but officially 12. What they did is they started deporting a lot of people that were, mainly, first of all, the gang members that had been in trouble or again, committed crimes, that were in jail. So they started taking everyone out and putting them back out. But what did they go back to? Most of the schools were destroyed. A lot of teachers were killed. My little girlfriend's family were teachers, and they were the reason why their house got bombed, because the teachers were getting killed by the Mano Blanca, which was an organization at the time, kind of like the death squads. And so there was no education happening. There were no jobs, because a lot of the country was fighting. So when the war ends, what are you going to do? What is there to do? So they throw these guys down there, and then so they look different from everybody. Nobody wants to give them a job either, and everyone's afraid of them on top of that. And the guys who had stayed have lived through a lot of this violence. All they know to respond to is violence as well. So what opportunities are there? What job opportunities do they have, except perhaps some drug trafficking here and there, some gun trafficking, some, crime, a lot of stealing. So that's what the gangs and the relationship between them are. And what I like about the documentary is that it doesn't justify it, but it does humanize it. And it does explain it to you at a level where you can actually understand it. And you start doing what a lot of us do, which is pointing the finger and say, that's the bad guy, and that's who's to blame, and that, I was taught by a teacher that when you do this, you got 3 fingers pointing back at you. So you'd always look at your responsibility for everything that's happening. You become more powerful, no? It's actually a good thing to take responsibility, but that documentary does that, and I recommend, if you guys can find it, it's very good, and if you guys can maybe even orchestrate a screening. Alex, who's one of the founders of Mara Salvatrucha, he's a very good man. He actually created a organization called Unidos, and their whole purpose of existing is to actually bring kids out of gangs and to make them conscious of what's happening and the correlation between their attitudes and what's happening in their own lives. So they're like counselors as well. And these are guys who, I was telling my buddies that you see Alex and you cross the street. With Alex, he's one of the tough ones. He's one of the initiators, and he's got bullet wounds, and he's still got that goatee going on. He's such a good man that came as a child in 1982 without any knowledge of what his own power was. So he expressed it in the only way that he could, and what he recognized, which was conflict. So if anybody wants to organize it, I can get in touch with Alex, and I'm sure he'll love to come and speak to you guys about it.